If you're still calling cover 2 or cover 3 to stop the run, you're actually helping your opponent on defense. In cover 2, your safeties are programmed to backpedal instead of just fly down and stop the run. But if you make one specific adjustment to your defense, you can have those players flying in for easy TFLs. Let me show you how it works. All right, so here we have a cover 2 defense called, and you're going to see what happens where if you're just not paying attention, they quick snap, you look at these holes that you can just run through, okay? It really is that simple. It's actually pretty consistent how often you can just run right through these gaps. It's just, I mean, it's how the offense is actually programmed and trained to block in this game against these, style of defenses. If we look at the instant replay here, you're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about with these safeties backpedaling as soon as the ball is snapped, okay? And I also mentioned in the intro, right, cover 3 defense, the same thing's gonna happen. This time you're gonna have a single high safety, but it's really not gonna matter. These guys are gonna draw back. They're actually gonna do a bit better job than a cover 2. Cover 2 might be the worst run defense I've ever seen, unless you're just gonna make some crazy adjustments like we're gonna talk about here in this video. But you can see here against cover 3, if the receivers set the edge, or excuse me, if they seal their blocks, they're going to have room to run. They're going to be able to run all over your defense. So, I mean, we continue to go through it. It's the same thing. It's just a gap scheme, blocking in certain gaps, and, you're just going to have wide open, or excuse me, they're going to have wide open lanes to run through, okay? But even in cover 2, you can still, if you love cover 2 defenses for whatever reason, you can still actually stop the run pretty well. If you can go ahead and just pinch your defensive line. So, really, you're going to see that, if you pinch your defensive line and then slant them the way that the run's going to go. So here that would be left, probably inside zone run. Defensive tackles are pinched a little bit, and now you're going to be able to see they're going to try to run off that edge. Again, it's not as good as what we're going to show off later in the video, and that's why I say I don't really like cover 2, because if you don't do a lot of the things I'm going to show you later, it's not really going to matter, right? You can pinch your defensive line, you can shift your defensive line left here in this case out of a cover 2 to try to stop the run, boom. But I mean, you can see it's still not great, and it's why a lot of people have problems on the ground, at least stopping the run. And so it's kind of a problem. You see also, if you pinch your defensive line, this time you might want to run man coverage. So here, pinching your defensive line, just trying to show that it's not bad. You can see finally we get a shed. You're able to get sheds, and you're able to stop the run to a certain extent when you actually go ahead and pinch your defensive line. Boom. Pinch your defensive line, or excuse me, shift them this time. Once again, cover 2 defense. But you're just seeing cover 2 is terrible. So, pinching your defensive line is good, or it can be good out of certain defenses, but it's a bit random and it's sporadic when you actually have success with that. So that's why we're going to move to the next thing, which is what you should be doing. All right, fix number 2 is you want to start shooting gaps with your user, standing about 4 yards over the guard and actually looping around to shoot the gap and stop the ball carrier in the backfield. Let me show you how it works. All right, so to prove that this is, actually legitimate here, I'm going to show you this out of a cover 2, the worst run defense, to show you that you can even call a cover 2 and still get your cover 2 run defense to work if you have a good user. This is something that you see all the top pro players do. So all you're going to do, loop around and look at where I am. Now, I have 2 controllers. I happen to miss the tackle that time, but you can see my guy's right in the backfield right there. It would be an easy tackle. We go through it again, loop around, and there you see, I'm able to meet the guy. So when you see top players playing against runs, you might see them on Twitch. BLT, how in the world are they stopping the run? I just get gashed out of any defense. This is how. Boom, take it, loop around. That time you actually see the guard picked me up. And so that's why it's important to pick your gaps. It's called gap shooting with your user, and it's important to find those gaps. So right here, I actually feel like I could run. Sometimes you feel like you could just run through gaps, but that time I actually got blocked. So that's why I say it's so important to actually focus on standing about right here and then looping around. That's the most consistent way, because then you're able to see also that a lot of ball carriers, a lot of user defenders actually are going to, they're going to see you loop around. And so if I was on offense here, I would know, okay, I can't run to the left where the play's designed now. So now I almost have to cut it back. And so that's really what you're doing, because you also see the read key defender right here, the guy on the edge. No one blocks him. He comes in free simply because, the running back has to cut back. and the play is not able to go to where it's designed to go. All right, so you're able to just shoot gaps again out of any defense. This time we put them in it, or we put ourselves here in a cover 3, and you see where I'm lined up 4 yards over the guard here, so that all I have to do, take this snap, loop around. You see what happens. This is another key thing that I'm going to break down. The offensive line is going to double team this center. They're going to double team this defensive tackle because I don't move until the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, has the ball right here. You see he touches it, and now I'm starting to move. You want to wait until the quarterback has the ball, and it just takes practice, ultimately, just reading the play and be able to know when to go at the right time. So boom, he just hands it off, and I'm able to just be right where I need to be on the front side of the play. Jerome Ford here, again, forces him to cut back. He gets tackled by a sea of defenders, because when you call this defense and you shoot gaps, you allow these guys off the edge to just run in free because of these 2 double teams. Double team, double team. It's all about patience when you're shooting gaps. And like I said, all you're trying to do is stand 4 yards over the guard, loop around, but make sure that you're waiting until, like you see right here, quarterback has the ball in his hands, and then you can fill the front side of the play and tackle the guy in the backfield. That easy. All right, so the secret way that the pros don't want you to know is by calling a cover 4 match defense, or a cover 4 defense in general, because you're able to see those safeties are going to come flying down, making plays in the backfield. Let me explain. Before I break down the last secret tip, I need you to go down below and hit the subscribe button for more Madden 26 tips dropping every day. All right, so watch again what happens when we call a cover 2 defense. Watch what our safeties are doing earlier in the video, right? You guys see that. Well, now watch this, okay? I'm not even actually going to user anyone right here. I'm just going to use our defensive lineman. I want you to just watch the safeties. Look how they're coming down, right? And, obviously, so you have to, it's important to have a good user. I would say that you can't just rely on these guys to just come down and shoot gaps, okay? You're going to see this time we should do a better job of it right here. And, those guys are able to come in free. Those safeties they're coming down and making plays, all right? But your user's still the most important guy in the field. So it's helpful to have your safeties coming down, but when you're still able to implement the first tip that I showed you, boom, have a good user come through, and now you're able to not even really rely, you don't have to rely on your safeties to do anything really. And so that's why I say it's so important. We come into a different, play right here, cover 4 quarters. Also, you could make sure that your safety depth's on close to make this even better. That's something that I guess I forgot to mention, is in your coaching adjustments, putting your safety depth on close. And I normally put my width on pinch, but you're able to see, boom, now that's what I'm talking about, where those guys, those safeties, especially Malik Hooker on the left right there, was able to come down and make a great play on the ball carrier. So boom, come down, he's standing here, he's not backpedaling. You see, he's just standing, he's walking down, and then he comes down, makes a play, and he's there to clean up the play, for the ball carrier, okay? And so you're gonna ask BLT, which one of these 3 tips that you just showed us is the best? Well, I actually like to either combine the final 2 tips or combine the first 2 tips. It's always having a good user. That's always going to be part of the equation. But if you want to run a cover 2 defense, you could just shift your defensive line in the direction that the ball carrier is going to run. If you wanted to, that can certainly help you. So then boom, I'm able to loop around again. You're always going to get that guy off the edge to come in free, because of just the way that the offensive line has to change their blocking assignments because of your user. You see, you will notice on every play, I believe this is Dante Fowler, he comes in free because this guy's going to block a second level defender, and my user's coming around, there's no one to block him. So when you force him to cut back because you have a good user, then boom, you just let a guy come in free, easy, tackle in the backfield, okay? But if you want to run a cover 4 defense, it's still important to have a good user, because I showed you, a second ago, when you don't have a good user, it really doesn't matter what you do, honestly. None of these plays, none of these defenses are going to bail you out necessarily. It's just like, you can't I can't make a bad video perform good no matter what I do. Here, you can't make bad run defense look good if you don't have a good user. So you see right here, I stand right here, boom, loop around, and now I get that extra support from my safeties and my slot corners because I'm in a cover 4 defense. Literally the textbook way that you actually want to play defense here in this game against the run. All right, so here's actually a bonus tip for you guys at the end of this video. Again, stopping the run, another user trick that no one's gonna tell you, but I'm gonna break it down for you. All right, so the key with this is you're just basically going to be glitching through the offensive line, basically. It's actually pretty consistent. All you want to do is stand where I'm standing right here, which is basically inside the butt of the defensive tackle. You can only do this actually out of 3 down lineman sets, but it is really good. 3 down lineman sets are some of the best, defenses in the game. And so when you're able to just run through the offensive line in those situations, that's great. So you're going to open the substitutions menu so that you can basically hold right trigger and left stick down at the same time. Okay, so that's really what you're trying to do here. And then so you're going to see when they go to take the snap on offense, you just see how I glitched through the offensive line. Now you still have to focus on the fundamentals, which is just tackling, pressing X, or I believe it's square in PlayStation, but you're just able to glitch through the offensive line. You see right there, boom, very easy. Again, another user trick, maybe even better than actually gap shooting, looping around and trying to stop the run. This is pretty consistent once you practice it. Shout out to my boy for showing me this. But you see how this is some random linebacker on the Titans, and imagine you have a guy in mud, or you have a really high overall sub linebacker in regs or in franchise, what you're able to do with this. So again, where I'm standing, just inside of this guy, it's pretty easy. You don't really have to do a whole lot. Open the substitutions menu by pressing D-pad up, and then when you take it, you're just glitching through the offensive line. Prepare for a tackle battle, possibly, maybe even prepare for a dive tackle if you need to. But when your opponent sees this, they're going to be pretty flustered. They're not really going to know what to do, because it doesn't really matter what run they call. It's just like every single time. They can call inside zone, they can call base, they can call 0-1 trap. You're glitching through the offensive line regardless, and they're going to have no chance. But that's another secret way to, stop the run for those of y'all that stuck around to the end of the video. Appreciate y'all. All right, so there it is. Stop guessing on defense. Stop calling cover 2. Start shooting gaps. Start calling cover 4s. And start actually moving your defensive line into the positions that they need to. But I just helped this user, and this user transform their game instantly in Madden 26. And I want to do the same thing for you through my one-on-one coaching platform. Click on this video right here for a more detailed breakdown, and I can't wait to see you there. Peace.